progress.
Okay, we are live. This budget hearing of the Township Council is called to order. Madam Clerk.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this budget hearing by the Franklin Township Council was made as required, indicating that this budget hearing would take place remotely via Zoom at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 17, 2026.
We'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance. It's virtual, so you do not have to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Barrison?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois? Deputy Mayor Corazzi?
Here.
Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Noni Jaka? Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
And Councilwoman Francois, it's unavoidable that she could not be here. I ask for unanimous consent to open to the public without objection. Krista, if you could give the instructions.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. If you're on a computer or using a Zoom app, please click reactions, raise hand. If you get called, press star 9.
Give it a few more seconds because it could be awkward as people search for the reaction button. Seeing no one come forward, I ask for unanimous consent to close the public portion. Without objection, public portion is closed. Mr. Vornlocker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First department to present their budgets tonight is the police department. Police department will have the police OE budget, the dispatch 911 budget, emergency management, animal control, and their capital budget requests. I shall share my screen and I will go off the camera so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So, as I said, the first budget is the police budget. The budget is proposed at $752,850, which is a $35,500 decrease from the 2005 budget of $804,850. Director, and we have Director Fredericks, Captain Wilson, and Sergeant Farrar from the police department here for their budget discussion. Director, you can kind of take it over and tell us what the changes in your budget from last year are, up and down.
Okay. All right. The first change that you probably will see is the line 28, the 9150 less. That's because last year we had some exams. I'm sorry, in 2024 we had exams for 2025 budget for lieutenant's exams and sergeant's exam. So this year for 2026, we just had a sergeant's exam, and I believe that was from last year's budget. So that is the reason that line is down. Line 26, equipment repair and maintenance. That is up 10,000, and again, that's rising cost of doing business. That is things like, it says copiers there, but any equipment that needs to be fixed in the police department comes from that line. So the reason for the increase there is just the cost of cost of doing business. Let's see, what's another big line here? Books and publication, line 33. That is our kind of moving towards the digital age, and we don't have to make copies so much anymore. We have our Power DMS system. And that system, the officers can read everything online. They don't have to print. I know as a society, we're trying to print less paper. So that kind of goes right along with that process. All right. Also, line 42, education and training. Again, that's our mainstay for the PD. We want to continue training our officers to better provide service to our community. So training costs always go up every year. So in turn, the education and training line probably will always have a slight increase every year. And big line we have here. We also have.
We have a big decrease on line 51, Director.
51, yes, that's the that was an electric car that we have that we don't need this year. So that decrease, that $51,000 decrease is a removal of that, the purchase of that vehicle on 51. 58 other equipment and supplies. 12.26%. That's ammunition really is the big cost right there. Every year ammunition goes up. Over the last, since COVID, ammunition has been rising at a rate that you really can't explain, but it's a necessary part of training and outfitting our officers. So it's an expense that we really can't avoid. And telephone charges up 24%. So we have put telephones in all of our frontline patrol cars. We've been advised by the prosecutor and by the AG that we should do so because in this technical and digital age, officers use their were using their personal phones to take pictures of driver's license and things like that. As a result, those phones can now be subpoenaed and become evidence, which means the officer loses possession of their personal phone. So the advice was to provide phones for the officers, sergeants, and those on the road so that if they do have to have those items submitted into evidence, it's not the officer's personal cell phone. Also, the police cars has an expense as well. The computers have to run in the police cars. So SIM cards go in the police cars as well. So we can get the internet connection to run the computers all around town.
Excuse me, you don't have to detail it, but you have a policy on what happens if they break the cell phone?
We have insurance for the cell phones, and we do have a policy for the cell phone, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Director, those phones are not that every individual officer has use of a phone 24 hours, 7 days a week. Those are shared phones that are passed on from shift to shift.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
So they're only using them when they're on duty.
Only when they're on duty.
So the policy is the same as any other piece of equipment when it comes to damage.
Okay.
And I guess the last one that has a significant change, Director, is 138 software licensing. It's actually a decrease.
So let's see if you can move the screen down a little bit.
Well, 138 down towards the bottom.
Yep. Let's see it. So, but it is a decrease, which probably means we didn't. One of our licenses probably on a year-to-year is probably less than a year-to-year. For example, like Axon, they've moved to like 5-year programs.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they moved to 5-year program. So
it was a multi-year. It was, I believe, it was one of your software programs was a 3-year license last year, and it's so therefore this year you're not paying for it. It was paid up front as a 3-year license last year. Okay, council, any that's the kind of the long and the short of the police budget. Are there any questions for the director or any of his staff on the police department budget? If not,
I'm good.
If not, we'll move on to the dispatch budget.
Real fast, I just was wondering how we were doing. Go ahead, Bob.
No, I would say the police dispatch budget for 2026 is proposed at $300,650, which is a $9,000 increase over the 25 budget at $291,650. The bulk of the dispatch budget is in line 26. That includes the Motorola radio annual contract. I know I touched on it in the Financial Oversight Committee in advance of this meeting, but for the benefit of the public and council members who are not in that meeting, some of you may recall that budget line funds the radio system and all of the infrastructure, in addition to the maintenance contract for the police department, all of the township radios across the different departments that use radios within the township, as well as fire and first aid, and it's a shared radio system with Somerset County. So, Director?
Yep. That is the only increase, and that is, again, is a increase. The the contracts go up every year, and we need the contracts in order to operate efficiently. So it is a necessary part of business.
So, technical question on this, Brian. I think these are the radios that can talk to each other. They're not. Doesn't require any special upgrade or anything like that. So the police can talk to the fire can talk to EMS and those kind of things, right?
Correct. We're completely integrated. We can talk to, fire, EMS, Board of Education. We can talk to all the schools, DPW.
Okay.
And also,
I remember, we had some conversation on the fire prevention meetings about these.
Correct. It's the exact same system that we had just upgraded recently.
Oh, okay, good. Yep.
And Sergeant, I'm sorry, Councilman Barrison, you were done? Okay. Is that also for non-public schools? You mentioned that you have communication schools?
The only school that currently that's non-public that participates in it is Rutgers Prep.
Are the other non-public ones aware of?
To the best,
they don't have school resource officers or class 3 specialists, Councilman.
Okay, that's the difference. Thank you. I know. Yep. Very few do. Rutgers Prep, I see them there all the time. Thank you for clarifying that. But if they did want to, they would reach out and speak to the town about it.
Absolutely.
Resource officer, communication, whatever. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on police dispatch? If not, we will move on to one of the smaller budgets in the police department's control, emergency management. Emergency management is proposed at $13,800, and just ignore the fact that our totals, this was, as I discussed in the financial oversight, there's obviously a error in the formula for this spreadsheet on the differences in totals on your right-hand side of your spreadsheet. It is proposed at $13,800, which is flat from 2025, $13,800. Director?
Yep, it pretty much remains the same. $13,800 last year, $13,800 this year. No change. Education and training, though, we have to just move some money around to accommodate that line. Should be more than $500 for OEM. Any questions on OEM?
Okay. Next will be animal control. Animal control is proposed at $56,780, which is flat from 2025's $56,780. And I don't believe there are any changes up or down across the lines. Again, that right-hand column has formula errors, so there are no changes in the proposed budget from last year.
Yep, all the same for animal control for 2026.
And while I sound like a broken record, I'll continue to sound like a broken record every year that I do this. The $56,780 is really just kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the costs associated with operating the animal shelter. And the animal shelter receives a great deal of support from two nonprofit organizations, Second Chance for Animals and Angel Tales. The township has not, in my time being involved with the animal shelter, going back to, I guess, 2006, 2005, 2006. And the township has not paid for dog food, cat litter, and the general cleaning supplies are all supported by the nonprofits through purchase or donation. So it'd probably be at least 3 or 4 times that amount if the township were paying for it. So we have a great deal of gratitude and indebtedness to the nonprofits who support our animal shelter.
May I add that mayor, deputy mayor, and
you may,
as well as Dean, Councilwoman, we donate our parts of the fees that we collect for the performing weddings in the township. So that revenue goes also to subsidize the animal shelter. So I urge many people to get married so we can support them even more.
And if you can even do it 2 or 3 times if you'd like.
I'd like to chime in. I thank you for doing that, and I know the mayor started that many years ago and was very generous, and thank you, people, all of you, anybody who donates time and services. I do have a question. I don't want to spend a dime, we don't have to, but I'm learning that we no longer remove the animals at the 4th of July fireworks, knowing we're going to have a pretty big, spectacular fireworks. I don't question the animal control. I completely support them. But are we absolutely positive? Is it a money issue, or what exactly was the change in policy that led to not removing the animals on fireworks?
So I've spoken with the animal control officer, Katie Nordhaus, on this. I trust her judgment on it. She felt it was more stressful to move the animals in and out and back in for the period of time. They attend to the animals while they're there, and if there are any that are susceptible to that type of to that type of activity bothering them, they do remove some, but they can't remove all without them creating more stress for the animals. So I've put my trust in her to make that decision.
I would trust her with the life of my dog, and my dog is very precious. So I just wanted to ask Bob, because it was something new, and if it was a money thing, we can discuss it. But thank you, and we can move on.
Okay. Any other questions on animal control? Okay, if not, we'll move to the police department capital budget sheet. And Director, I'm just going to let you run with this one. I'll try to get it up where everything's on the page. There it is. And this is the capital requests for the police department for 2026. Director?
Yep. All right. So Axon, annual year 105. I touched on it a little bit. Axon does 5-year contracts. And Axon is our body-worn camera recording system, our in-car recording system, and our recording system in the building for the Detective Bureau. It is absolutely necessary. It is expensive. I'll talk about that later. But Axon is expensive, but they're the best in the industry at recording and transmission of these videos. Most of the time when you do see these videos on TV, if you look up in the right-hand corner, you will see Axon. Most PDs use it. There are other recording devices out there. I want to say GTAC is one, but I think Motorola just absorbed them. So they'll be just as expensive in a little while. But the goal is always to try to have everything under one technical roof, because a lot of these tech companies don't like to merge. So we did have L3, which was what we had for the in-car cameras, and L3 and Axon. We couldn't merge them, so we decided to go with Axon for our recording system.
Director, before you get, just so everyone understands, are in-car cameras and body-worn cameras and investigative interview room cameras optional?
No, they're not. They're mandatory.
Direct by who?
Directed by the Attorney General's office. And the Attorney General's office mandated, well, Axon, basically, to be the body-worn camera system for the state of New Jersey. And they are on state contract. If anyone wants to know, they are, but they're still expensive, even though they're on state contract. And to add Taser, that's part of Axon. Axon bought Taser, if I'm correct, right, Sergeant Flora? And Taser is our electric stun gun, our less lethal device that officers carry. And again, that's part of the Axon package. And again, 5-year plan. That's why you see the $250,000 up there. It comes up about 50 grand a year.
Hang on one moment, please. I noticed Councilwoman Udin's separate on the member participant list. I don't know if that's significant. I would just want to make sure she's able to unmute and make comment.
Krista?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
Good.
Okay,
Fine.
perfect.
Thank you. Continue.
Okay. Where was I? Eventide. Eventide is our recording system for the police department that records all our conversation, our dispatch transmissions. And obviously we need that. That's a must. We need it for whether it's reviewing body-worn phone calls for officers to prosecutors or dispatch calls that come in. It is a necessary part of the police department. Next up is the 8 Explorers. That is really our office on wheels. Cars are a necessary point. We're a little bit better than we were post-COVID, just about caught up. The police cars are, as you know, they run 24/7 and they get a lot of use. So that's why we're asking for the amount of cars that we have to just kind of stay ahead, because accidents do occur, engines do go down, we do lose cars sometimes. So we want to kind of stay ahead of that because it's a machine and it does break down. We want to make sure we always have cars available for our officers. We were at one point where we had to hot seat the cars, hot seat meaning the cars never stop running, which in turn means they get used up, for lack of a better description, faster, and we get a lack in service time because officers have to wait to switch out cars. So Brian and I did a good job of kind of getting the fleet up to speed. We're not expanding our fleet. It's the same number of cars in the fleet that we're trying to maintain in asking for the 8 Explorers. The pickup trucks are actually the trunk.
Director, I do have a question on that.
Yep.
So I want to explore if we could reduce the number 8 there, in terms of the cars, to potentially a lower number, potentially 6, without impacting operational needs, patrol times, etc. If there is an option for us to explore that.
Yes, there's always an option to explore to reduce the number of cars. We try to keep it up to keep it as high as we can, but if we have to reduce, we reduce. I don't think it would impact us that much, as long as we get maybe a pickup, because the industry is moving towards the pickup truck, believe it or not. And that is because the automakers have now figured out how to make a pickup truck efficient. And believe it or not, they're a little bit more efficient than the Explorers. Plus they have more storage room, and we can traverse off road, high water, high snow a little bit better because they're a little bit higher than the Explorers. They also can tow a little more as well.
Appreciate that. That was the largest number on this page, so I had to ask.
Yes, the car, and again, it's like I said, that's the mobile office. It has everything in there for our office to be out on the road and get everything done without coming back to headquarters. I was in that group of officers where we had to come back to headquarters to get a lot of things done, where report writing was concerned. Now the office can do it all on the road from their patrol car. And as time goes over, the cars get more expensive, as we all know.
Director, hi. I have a question that's related to this as well. So I guess in this entire list that we have, 1 to 17, I know it says item requested, but if we were able to kind of narrow this down to what can we utilize in terms of the most need, instead of like 8 Explorers, we're able to do 6. Same thing goes for the tasers and, so on, right? If we're able to reduce that number down and kind of get to what we actually need versus what can we, would be good to have. I think you're right. Like, we definitely need to get to a point where we can get all of this. I agree that, we got to be up to date with our systems and make sure that we have our vehicles all ready to go. If, God forbid, something had to happen and we lost, 2 cars, we have a backup of, 2 more. So if we can get something like that where it says, this is great to have, but this is where I actually absolutely need right now, that would really help us understand the cost, because I understand everything costs went up, so it's going to get expensive if we delay a lot of this, right? But at the same time, I would like to see what we can do as optional, where we know what your absolute needs are versus just the requested.
Yeah, absolutely 6. Absolutely 6.
So then that wouldn't reduce the number of everything else, like your outfitting of the 10 vehicles would be 6 and all that, right? Downwards.
Yep.
So I think it would be helpful, Council, if we let him get through the list, because certainly there are things that one impacts the other, where maybe in some cases it may seem like it should, but it won't. For instance, you went back to the top of the list. I hate that we use this list, and next year's budget will change somewhat significantly in how it's prepared as we work through with the new finance officer. But that priority number is more just it really isn't a priority 1 versus a priority 17. This is just basically a list of 17 things, because if you'll see as we get through it, some of them, while they may not seem necessarily high on the list as far as 1 through 17, they're things that are mandated by some outside governing body, the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey as a whole. So I want to just let them get through these, and then we can come back before we're done and talk about what can be passed on to a future year, or what can be cut from a number this year. I think we're in agreement that it can go from 8 to 6 on cars, but I think it'd be helpful if we get through the whole list.
Okay. All right. So I'll just run through the list and explain, get to the cutting part. All right. So I was explaining about the pickup trucks. The industry is headed that way. They're more efficient than the Explorers. They hold a lot more equipment. It's easier for the officer to have the car out on the road when the call for service comes in, as opposed to coming back to headquarters to get the pickup truck that we do have loaded with cones and stuff and then bring it back out. A good example was last night with all of the storm that roared through, kind of like around 1 o'clock in the morning. The officers, while we were prepared, we had the pickup truck set up. That pickup truck does not go out on the road for patrol. It's not a frontline patrol vehicle. So it sits in the back of headquarters till we need it, and then we have to send an officer in to get it, grab it, and go back out. Outfitting of the 10 vehicles, that is putting the lights and sirens, the radios, and things like that. They get about a mile of wiring into the cars. That's why you see that number up there, and that number goes up every year as well. The 8 MPCs, that's really maintenance. We swap out 10 MPCs every year. Again, that's aging of the older computers. We're taking them out of service. The mobiles, that is the radios that go into the cars. So obviously, if we reduce cars, we reduce the APX mobile radios. The uninterrupted power supplies, the Rocky Hill Tower is exactly what it is. It's so that if we lose power in that tower, it's able to stay on so that officers can transmit. Obviously, that's a safety issue. So we need that. 4 new rifles. We don't carry shotguns anymore. We carry rifles. The rifles that will be replaced are from 2001. Sergeant Farrar, you're correct. So we need to replace those rifles. The mat room at 935 Hamilton Street. Again, that is a mandate. That is for the officers to train in defense tactics, which is mandated by the Attorney General. Right now, it's at 4 hours, and it is supposed to go up to 8 hours. So just think about a wrestling arena where they have mats on the wall and mats on the ground. That's what we're trying to do at our 935 Hamilton Street building, so that our officers can train without injury. Water rescue equipment. That is, we have acquired 2 vehicles, high water rescue vehicles, from our 1033 program. The 1033 program is a program where police departments can use surplus equipment from the military. These high water rescue vehicles are good to put out in the water, but the officers have to be equipped to get out into either swift water or high water. And there's equipment that they need to wear. You cannot go out in that type of environment with just your normal police gear and bullet-resistant vest. It will not work in the water.
Director, may I ask you a question on that number? Mm-hmm. Do the fire department has also water rescue equipment?
They do have boats, and they do have some rescue training. The problem that we usually have is our fire department sometimes is out of town helping some other town when we need them in our town. So we want to have our officers prepared and ready when it occurs. And because we have these 2 vehicles now, in order to put officers in those vehicles and put them out into high water, they need to have these outfits to get out there.
So there's nothing that you can leverage between your department and the fire department?
Yes, we try to use their services, but a lot of time it's a little bit too late. So we want to be on top of it, and training our officers, I think, is the best fit for the community. That way we can get out there quickly. We don't have to wait. Quick story, I don't know if you all remember, Detective Hernandez and Officer Jurek. They were on Middlebush, stuck for 2 hours hanging onto a tree with fast-moving water. Why? Because our fire department was not here. They were out assisting another town on the other side of the county, and we had to wait until one of those apparatuses were available, boats, to come in and get our officers who were literally hanging on for dear life.
Thank you.
Director?
Yep.
Just curious, how many, and I think it's a good idea. What you're explaining makes sense to me. How many officers are completely trained in water rescue, and do you have a benchmark for how many is your goal? I see here you want to have 8 outfitted with equipment, but I'm just curious about the actual amount we have trained.
Yes, I actually got my water rescue numbers up there. I want to say it's about a dozen. Now, there's a big difference between swift water rescue and water rescue.
I was going to say, I don't know the certifications, but I know there are different ones. Not that we have to get into it deep now, but just wondering as it relates to you or outfitting 8, if you have a goal in mind, or going to continue to get more out, where we want to outfit more or just train more, and they share the 8 sets of equipment. If you could just quickly comment on.
Yeah, the goal is to get 8 officers. Obviously, we don't have to start off with 8, but at least half of that. And then the goal is to get more officers trained, so that you have 1 on each shift, 2 on each shift after we is the actual goal.
So what we were able to do last year was we trained the entire department on water rescue on the awareness level, which is basically preventative measures you can do, how to throw rope bags out to individuals, and basically, in essence, how not to get hurt or injured on a water rescue. So the entire department is trained at the awareness level.
Thank you. I know a lot of people don't realize we're surrounded, two-thirds of our town is surrounded by water, and I remember growing up, a couple people drowned in the canal, and since then we've unfortunately had a handful of instances. So it's something we don't think of, but water rescue for Franklin is very important for public safety. Thank you.
Well, we've seen over the past few years, in my 28 years here, I want to say in the past 3 years, we have had exponentially increasing amount of water rescues. And I definitely know within the past 3 years, we had more water rescues than my 25 previous years all put together. So it's increasing at an exponential pace.
Good. Okay. Camera trailer, year 2 of 3. That is something that we started working on last year. Those trailers are, if you think about Lowe's, Home Depot, you see the cameras that are up. That is what we're asking for there. So those we use at, say, for example, Franklin Day. We can use them for parades. We can use them for July 4th. Anytime we have any type of uptick in crime, we can put them in that area to record as well. 4-door enclosed cab ATV. Our ATV is close to getting historical plates. I want to say the township manager bought the one that we have. It's old. As a matter of fact, we had.
I think it does qualify for classic vehicle plates.
It's getting up there. And we did have to deploy it 2 days ago, but it took about 20 to 45 minutes to get it started because the battery was down, and then we had to hook it up and get it out there to go into the brush off of Napoti down here off of Skillman. So we have a lot of trail, 47 square miles in this town. We have, the tow path. So we need an ATV. We have a lot of emergencies that do occur back there, and it's tough for an officer, just to pull up and then run down a mile or a mile and a half, or EMS to get in there, and then we have to wait for them to bring their ATV to bring the person out. And I've been involved in a ton of rescues where we're waiting until the resources arrive. And I would like to be able to, once the emergency is called in, get out there and let the Franklin Township Police Department do as they're trained and assist whoever is in our town or our community. So Emily water rescue devices are kind of like, if you can think about a remote control boat. If we had to get someone and the water was kind of swift, we didn't have an officer to go in, that water rescue device would go in the water, go towards the person, they would grab onto it, and it would remotely bring them back to wherever the officer is. We would be able to control it. The portable training house. That is basically a house that we can construct wherever we want it, the back of headquarters in Middlebush Park, and have the officers train as they would train in a normal building. Normally, what I would usually ask is permission from the township manager. If there's a house that's being demolished or a building that's being demolished, we would use that to train before it's demolished, but that involves a little bit of insurance. We also use Rutgers Christian Church a lot. They've been very helpful with us training for ASIM and active shooter and room clearing and all those things that we train for. So this portable training house would help our officers by us having the equipment by ourselves, and we don't have to go anywhere. Everything can be done in-house. I think that's the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, if I may.
Yep.
Yes.
I know we have a great police department, and a great police department requires some good equipment, and we appreciate the list that you have. The question I have is that, do you benchmark against some other townships to see how we're doing as far as the equipment and so forth? And whether or not there is any opportunity for sharing some of the equipment that perhaps is not used, on a regular basis.
Absolutely, we do. We speak to other police departments a lot of times. It's all idea sharing, especially when we go out to training. And a lot of times it's the schedule is extremely tough because all the police departments have mandated training, and usually our training, all of it falls around the same time when we're doing rifle or handgun qualifications in the spring or October. Most PDs are doing it all at the same time. When we're doing defensive tactics, let's say the mat room, most PDs are doing it all at the same time. So it's a schedule. It's usually a scheduling nightmare when you do, but when we can resource out with other PDs, we do. We do. We go up to the county as well, and we can go up there and train. And we offer up our PD as well sometimes too for other PDs to come down. So we share services a lot, but it's impossible to do all of it through shared services.
Director, I have a question. Last year, you gave us a great live demo of drone as first responder. Is that? I don't see that anywhere here as an expense item. Is that not?
No, we have the money for the drone as a first responder. We went with a company who kind of overpromised and underdelivered, so we did not go with them. They gave us a mile radius of about 3.5 miles, and when they came here, they only went about a mile. So they couldn't get out to the crash site, for an example, where the plane had crashed out there in South Rivers. So we are exploring new companies where that DFR is concerned, and you will see it next year.
Okay. Not that I'm trying to increase your budget, but
yeah, we're still working on it. And again, a lot of these companies are doing 5-year deals with the DFR programs. And so we only had enough for a year, so we're trying to work our way through it and then prepare for the next 4 years.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So now that you've gone through the entire list of your capital requests, I guess we can go back to Councilwoman Udin's question as to, are there things here that you would consider optional that are not, vital to the operation, but in a way, maybe above and beyond the absolute mandatory?
Okay. Optional. So the Emily water rescue devices, optional. And the camera trailer, year 2 of 3, we can pull back on that as well and wait till next year. I don't see an issue with that. The water rescue equipment, I would endeavor to say we cut it in half. We need to get that equipment because we have the vehicles. And I would not want to be here and have these vehicles and not be able to use them because we do not have the officers equipped to go out there and use it. And considerable effort to get those vehicles. What else? If we reduce the amount of cars, obviously we reduce the outfitting and the radios that go with it. I would ask that for the cars, I would ask that if we go down to 6 Explorers and we have at least 1 pickup, we would need to get at least 1.
So you can cut 1 pickup. Okay.
Yeah, at least 1, we definitely need 1. And obviously then the outfitting would come down. 10 NPCs we need. The mobile radios will go down as well in conjunction with the cars. And the new rifles we need. Portable training house. I
like that. That's officers having in a situation where they have to think in 1 second. We see a lot of mistakes around the country. And
honestly, that's cheaper than the virtual reality. Virtual reality is starting around 150,000, 200,000, 300,000.
I think 15,000 to keep our officers safe and our community safe is worth it.
So those. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, if you get the 2 pickup trucks, can you cut down one more Explorer?
You saw for 5 Explorers and 2 pickups? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's a good point, Councilman. And just to further what the director had said, that with my background in the traffic bureau called for a lot of response with equipment that back then we didn't have the vehicles necessary to transport that equipment. And while you can rely on the Public Works Department, again, as the director said, you're there when you're the police department, you're already there, ready to respond, and those types of vehicles are a great aid in getting out equipment quickly when it's needed, and that not only provides some, I'll say in an inconvenient time, it provides some convenience to the public, but it's also a matter of public safety. But when you can get a road blocked off that has high water quickly, then you don't have to use that water rescue equipment because somebody doesn't drive their car into the flooded road. There's that kind of trickle down effect that this type of equipment has. So I think that the pickup trucks were something that back when I worked with Brian Farrar in the police department many years ago, it was something that we tried to get back then, and it was a difficult thing to sell. And I think that much more advanced thought now on the part of the people making the decisions here leads to better decisions on how we allocate our funds.
Director, these pickup trucks, do they have the equipment to pull, for example, a car from a flood area or some other things easily versus waiting for another towing company bring equipment?
In an emergency, yes. Usually we leave the towing to the towing companies. But if necessary, if we have to, we order all our vehicles with a tow hitch. And if you have the proper equipment, you can pull a car out absolutely in an emergency. Our high water rescue vehicles can assist us with that as well. I believe the Hummer has a winch, if I'm not mistaken. But we generally want to get the person out first because the equipment we can replace. So we really don't want to put anybody in harm's way with doing that. If a tow truck is there immediately, yes. If not, we're getting the individual out and the car could probably get replaced.
Great.
But in an emergency, absolutely, yes.
A couple questions, Director. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor, were you finished? Okay. I know wrestling or mats are very expensive, more than people realize. I'm wondering, where do we do that training now? Do we not have a setup at headquarters or anywhere else? Are we creating a second room, or is this the first, will be the only mat room, as you're calling it?
This will be the only mat room. So
we have no training. We have no setup right now to do that kind of training with those thick mats.
We do have a setup. We do have a setup for the training. It's not our equipment that we use when we do the training right now. So we want to get our own, so we don't have to borrow or try to schedule with somebody else to go and use their equipment.
Okay, that sounds fine to me. I just didn't know what we had in that respect. I don't think we ever delved into it.
Councilman, just to interject here, and I only know this as a result of a prior meeting with the director. It's also recently mandated that this training take place by the Attorney General. Prior to recently, that wasn't mandatory training.
Oh, I got it. So maybe it wasn't as high of a priority. But no, I think it's wonderful. I was just trying to get an understanding of how we have and will structure going forward. But no, I have no issue with it. Just wanted to understand it better. I see you have 8 Explorers, 4 in March, so I don't want to push too hard, but maybe we could keep it an even number and do 4 Explorers, 2 pickups, 2 unmarked and 2 marked, but in a moment. And then the last thing I'll just throw out there, I don't see it here, and I know there's different views on how beneficial they are, but I'm a believer in the signs that I still see utilized in a lot of towns, including Franklin. But the sign set suggests how fast you're going and give some indication of, discouraging people from speeding. So I don't know where we're at with those. I don't see a lot of them around. I know we have them. I know we use them, but that would be one item I would be happy to consider. Well, obviously, see what my colleagues feel of adding some of them, because I still think we're underutilizing that in our traffic enforcement, trying to reduce speeding. Thank you.
So, Councilman Vasanella, we just received 2 of those trailers you're talking about, those speeding trailers.
The trailers are great, but also the smaller signs that are, a lot cheaper and easier.
These ones are specifically designed for speeding.
Okay.
They indicate your speed in the digital one. They're out currently we just got them registered, and they're out getting lettered. So you'll see 2 additional trailers. And what's very nice about these is we can put them out in the work zones as well, and the speed will change. We can set times for it. So if it's 25 miles an hour while they're working on the roadway, and then it goes back to 40, it automatically at 3 o'clock tells you it's back to 40 miles an hour. So they're going to be very useful, and I think you guys will really like them.
Councilman, these are much smaller than maybe what you're thinking. They're not message boards. They're just the smaller portable radar boards that we're talking about here.
One last question I have, Bob.
I'm sorry, Alex, if the director just I could comment on the other thing I threw out there. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor. But thank you for the. I look forward to Sergeant Ferrer, what you just said, and look forward to seeing those out there. But the one other item I mentioned, if the director could just.
Just run it past me again.
The Explorers, I see.
You're talking about the mix of.
The marked and unmarked. Okay.
Yeah, so, and I just wondering how you're going to break that down, and if 5 or 6 or 4 is the rock bottom, you think we could still remain safe at. And
Director, sounds to me like we asked you to reduce it by a total of 3. I would leave that at your discretion.
Yeah, I wouldn't go lower than 5.
Okay.
And as far as Explorers go with marked and unmarked, that's just going into the unmarked means it'll probably go into the Detective Bureau, and marked means it'll go into the Patrol Division.
I thought they were outfitted a little bit different, but I'm fine with 5. Thank you, Mayor. That's the only questions I had.
Okay, so the question I had is that recognizing that how businesses appreciate the services that are provided by police department, is have you looked at possibility of asking businesses to sponsor some of these items?
I have not, because
the attorney, actually, I can answer that one because I know the answer. The Attorney General of the state of New Jersey has said that police departments shall not be sponsored on their vehicles, so can't do it by law.
No, I was talking about the vehicle. I was talking about just other items.
I think that it is not something that you want to mix sponsorships from individual private businesses with your law enforcement agency. And that's why the Attorney General said no. There were actually police cars that had sponsorships written on the side of the cars, and the state of New Jersey said no.
Right. So even for other equipment, such as like rifles or masks?
Yes, like anything, Councilman. It is a very, very bad precedent to set to have private businesses sponsoring police departments. The conflict is one that I don't think you want to go down that road.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we've beaten you up enough on this.
That's really it. I mean, I can go down to must-haves.
That's everything left, right?
That's everything left, right? So I think that's okay. I think that's fair.
So if there are no other questions for the director and the police department, I'll give you one last bite of the apple here. If not, Mayor, are you ready to move on to the next department?
I am.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and bring all of you back. And come back on for a second.
Well, I have to comment. This is the largest number of people attending this meeting that I've seen in 16 years.
We have 1, 2, 3,
9.
4.
Plus 2 press.
4 members of the public.
No. 1, 2.
Oh, maybe I have to scroll some. Oh, I have to scroll some. You're right.
Anyway.
Total is 27.
Anyway, so Director, Captain, Sergeant, thank you for you coming here tonight, and I will speak with you tomorrow morning, Director.
All right. Thank you for having us, and we appreciate all of you and all your help.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda tonight is Carl Hauk from the Public Works Department and Water Department. We'll do the Public Works and Water budgets first, and then follow that up with the open space budget after those two are done. Carl, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me share my screen. Let's do this. Okay. That a little bit bigger. Okay, we'll start with the Public Works budgets. The first budget is the Buildings and Grounds budget. And the Building and Grounds budget is proposed at $515,672. That's up from $509,922. The bulk of this budget is in line 024, cleaning and maintenance of buildings and facilities. I think just about the entire line there is for the contract for the cleaning service that cleans all of our buildings. We do not have in-house janitorial staff for the cleaning of our buildings. We have contracted that for quite a number of years now. So, Carl, the rest is yours.
I just have one question on the janitorial service. I know we have had in the past very inconsistent service by these contractors. Is that? I think we found a good one, I believe, from last year. Are we?
Now I'm gonna knock on wood first. For the past 2.5 years or 2.25 years, no complaints.
Great. Good work.
Okay, the 029 additional DEP air permitting fees. That's the additional $4,500 for all our generators and our fuel tanks. And then the other one is sewer disposal 078. We took on a couple other buildings back from the Board of Ed, and those are just the standard sewer fees that we pay the Sewage Authority annually. And that is Buildings and Grounds.
Any questions on Buildings and Grounds? Next will be Board of Education Transportation. Carl, I think I can cover this one. So the township maintains the Board of Education fleet. The amount of money budgeted here is $275,671. That's slightly down from last year's $289,485. This is money that is budgeted in appropriations, but also the equal amount is budgeted on the revenue side. This is money in, money out. All of the costs associated with this budget are covered by payments from the Board of Education. Any questions on that? Condominium Act, Carl. This is budgeted at 125, up 25,000. You can explain this one, Carl.
So we are by ordinance responsible for reimbursing a portion of funds back to the private communities, such as the HOAs of private roads and also the senior communities in town. With the wonderful, I would say, snow season that we had, atypical over 10 years, doing the calculations, we'll be issuing POs right around a little over $120,000 in reimbursement to the HOAs and private communities through the Condo Services Act. So that's why the increase, because of the type of winter we've had.
Does everyone on council understand what this one is for? The state of New Jersey a number of years ago enacted legislation that requires municipalities to pay for those services in an HOA that would otherwise be paid for by the municipality if it were on a public street. So that means that we have to pay an equal amount to what we pay per mile of roadway to remove snow, and we also pay for the street lighting on streets that are specifically lighting the street, not parking areas within an HOA. So the street lighting is paid for directly by billing from public service, but we have to, by law, reimburse HOAs for the equal dollar amount that we pay for snow removal on public streets per lane mile. So that's what this is funding. It's a statutory obligation. Next up is sanitation. I can make that a little bit bigger for us here. So sanitation budget is budgeted at $761,387.15, up from $669,398. The bulk of that is under the line 028 summer, the recycling services. We are the bill that we received from Somerset County to provide recycling to our residential properties in town. That number is at $776 and change, offset by our recycling tonnage grant this year. The offset is about just under $140,000. So that's the difference here is that last year our offset was $304,000. This year $139,800. So that's the primary reason why the budget has gone up. The up to 761 from from 301. So
Bob, have we been having less tonnage picked up, or is there something
so understand it, so the tonnage grant is based on several years prior, and the tonnage grant is based on not just the amount of recycling that our Somerset County collects, but the amount of recycling that's reported by all of our businesses that collect recycling as part of their business operation, whether it be a manufacturing facility or a retail shopping center. And the 2025 budget, as you see, at 304 was significantly higher on offset from 2025, I should say, significantly higher than 2024. It's some sort of anomaly. Can't say exactly what it was, but the 139.8 seems to be falling in line with the 24 budget. It just was, we got a whole lot based, I think it's 3 years back, Carl? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Right? So 25 was on 22. 26 is on 23. As far as the tonnage collected, can't tell you why in particular, other than those are the numbers that the state of New Jersey provides for us based on outside reporting from businesses to the state.
Okay, it just seems so different, and I guess we have to take what the state hands us really in this case, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Carl, there is one other increase in other contractual from 75 to 125, $50,000 increase.
Right, so the 029 is for the trash containers at our convenience center and all our municipal buildings. The additional 50,000 was added and with the anticipation of now having a hauler or a landscape company have to take away the mulch that we generate, not only leftover from what we can't use in the parks or get rid of as we deliver to properties in town early in the season, which we're starting next Tuesday. And we anticipate, based on the tonnage, average tonnage or cubic yards that we've been producing over the past years, that's an approximation on what it'll cost us for someone to pick it up and dispose of the mulch that we can't get rid of.
Any questions on that? If not, we'll jump to shade tree. So I can take care of this one, Carl. So the shade tree budget is proposed at $100. It's down from $1,000. I'm not quite sure why there were charges in 23 and 24 to the general fund budget. The shade tree trust. The Shade Tree Trust is funded quite well, and any expenses related to Shade Tree can be charged to the Shade Tree Trust. I left it with $100 just because in the state of New Jersey for municipal budgeting, if a line has no money in it, then you can't fund it anytime through the year through the way of budget transfer. So I did leave $100 in there just in the event that there was something that couldn't be covered by the Shade Tree Trust, that we could provide funding in this line for something for Shade Tree.
Thank you for your diligence. Next.
Wasn't worth the time for me to say it, was it?
No.
Snow removal. Snow removal is proposed at $705,750. That's an increase from $455,750. I'll just draw your attention to the year-to-date actual for 2025 was $767,740.78. It's just a little explanation on snow budget. It's not like most budgets in that any unexpended funds is moved to the Storm Recovery Trust Fund at the end of the year. Our Storm Recovery Trust Fund at the end of 24 was $624,000. At the end of 25, I should say the balance, and I know that it's kind of backwards there as far as the descriptor there. The balance as of 2/26/26 was $238,404. We've had to deplete the snow recovery trust significantly based on these most recent storms. So therefore, there's an increase in this budget from last year to anticipate adequately funding any snow removal that may take place, unfortunately, at the end of 2026 when winter begins. So, any questions on snow removal? I don't have a request. I don't have a question. I have a request. Everyone, say a prayer to whatever you pray to, that we don't get a lot of snow at the end of the year.
So if you don't, then the subsequent year you will drop.
That subsequent year we can adjust the budget in 27 downward because we'll have a more sufficient trust fund balance. I remind everyone that Several years ago, the state of New Jersey renamed it from a snow trust to a storm recovery trust, which enabled municipalities to use that money for something other than snow, some other natural weather event. We most recently used a large sum of our snow trust in 2021 to fund debris removal after Tropical Storm Ida hit, and we had significant flooding and basement flooding throughout the township. That money was used, the money that paid for that disposal was out of the Storm Recovery Trust, and we were not required to do an emergency appropriation. So it was good to have a healthy budget in that, and it's good to maintain a balance in that account for just such emergencies. Next up is streets and roads. I'm going to make it just a tad bit smaller here to get it all in there. Nope, not quite that big. Okay. Streets and roads. That's
one more.
Got it. Yeah. Streets and roads is proposed at $229,800. That is a decrease from $240,700. Carl?
So I did some realignment of the overall totals within the subcategory, subline items. The biggest decrease is the 042 education and training. The reason is the training for our bucket truck, what they call live line arborist training, is only done every 5 years, and we had it budgeted and done last year. So that is the biggest decrease of this line, this budget. Everything else is more in line what we spent within prior years.
029 is also 7,000.
Yeah, we did some shifting of there were some permits that were done in streets and roads that I moved over to buildings and grounds.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on streets and roads?
Spent longer on shade tree.
Well, I took the advantage of the fact that Councilman Vasanella is the liaison to Shade Tree, and he might wonder. He might wonder
no,
why.
But thank you for explaining that, because thank you. Sorry, Mayor. But
utilities.
This way I can have an answer for the committee.
There you go. Utilities is budgeted at $3,187,700. That's an increase from $2,975,000. There's a $100,000 increase in street lighting. And I actually want to have a discussion about this budget before we move on to the next one. But Carl, is there anything else on this that needs to be discussed?
It's just increased rates. I mean, last year PSC&G gave us a 17% rate cut mid-year that started in July. So this is the net of a full year having to pay the higher bills.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about with council was, you see we spent $484,031 in gasoline and diesel in 2025. It was budgeted at $500,000. It's also budgeted again at $500,000. For those of you who have driven past a gas station recently, you'll see that the gasoline and diesel prices are up rather significantly. Today I noticed diesel on Elizabeth Avenue is at $5.15 a gallon. I can tell you it was $3.39 a gallon roughly 2.5 weeks ago. I don't know how long this this activity in the Middle East is going to take place. I don't need to have a discussion about the politics of the Middle East and what's going on there, but I am concerned, and I think that before the final budget is introduced in several weeks, we're going to continue to monitor that line and those expenses and what's anticipated. I read a newspaper article yesterday that anticipated that fuel prices in this country will probably not see a significant decrease, even if this war were to end tomorrow, until sometime in the middle of 2027. So not to be an alarmist, but I think that we need to continue to look at that line. This budget, as a whole, utilities, doesn't leave a whole lot of room to spare. You see, it was expended at just about 95% of its total budgeted amount last year. So there's not a lot of wiggle room here. And I just want everybody to be aware that by the time this budget gets introduced, that number may need to be increased.
Well, what are you thinking, like 100,000 to zero?
No, I was thinking more like maybe 250,000, Mayor.
Yikes.
I don't know yet, though. So, like I said, I don't want to be an alarmist. The people who are providing expert opinions out there are a dime a dozen. And before we make any rash decision, I would certainly, try to look at this from every angle and have a discussion with financial oversight before we make any final decisions.
So, Bob, I just wanted to ask. I know it's been a surge recently, but about a year ago, they were pretty much where they're at now with the surge. I'm looking at 265 or 285. It's really small. I can't see it too well on 24, and then 484 on 25. But even with the increases, wasn't it about the same price in 25?
No, it was far less.
But
we haven't seen $5.15 for diesel fuel in my memory.
I'm not familiar with diesel, Bob. I'm sorry. I'm just
saying the amounts are beyond anything that I recall.
Well, you guys in financial oversight will, I'm sure, bring back some.
And I'm just saying we're going to need to keep an eye on that one particular line. I need everybody to understand that if that number is different when the time the budget gets introduced, it'll be because there's not a good outlook on gasoline and diesel prices going forward for the year.
I understand. And whatever we do, I mean, I would hope it's not going to be that big of an increase, but in the worst case scenario, if we were caught short, that can be made up by any kind of emergency appropriation or contingency fund.
Well, the problem with emergency appropriations, Councilman, is that what you make as an emergency appropriation in this year has to be budgeted with no financial benefit in the following budget year. So I would like to stay away from any type of emergency appropriation. And as you heard in my budget, my contingency for the entire town for every unanticipated expense is less than the $250,000 that I just mentioned.
No, we appreciate you keeping it low. Is the electric vehicle, the few that we've added, though, will that help at all in this issue?
While I would say that it helps on one line, it hurts on another. Electricity is increasing annually too. So, are they? But they're also not fueling all of the larger vehicles that we have. They're all very small vehicles that, we just brought 4 online that were budgeted last year. Electric vehicles are not easy to procure. The 4 Chevrolet SUVs, EV SUVs went into service yesterday, Carl?
They picked them up this morning.
They picked them up this morning in the construction department.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, do they have an impact? I think that they're not the biggest users of fuel in our municipal operations are the Public Works Department and the Police Department. They're not using electric vehicles to any great extent. Okay, so that's utilities. Vehicle maintenance. Vehicle maintenance is budgeted at $288,250, an increase of $60,000 from $228,250 in 25. Carl?
So the biggest line item is 034. You can see what we expended in 2025, right about 177. So we were over. I did have to transfer money in to balance that and be able to purchase, parts for repairing vehicles, police cars, etc., all our fleet. Basically, the 50,000 is increased costs for parts, as well as everybody's now adding on the tariffs to the cost of the parts, because all vehicle parts are made overseas
or Mexico.
Yeah.
Any questions on the vehicle maintenance budget?
By parts.
And for what it's worth, as Carl said, the overall budget last year was overexpended. It was at 104%. And now we are into the water utility, which I don't So the water budget is kind of a complicated document here. So what I'm going to try to do is just highlight some lines here. So,
excuse me, Bob.
Yes.
Is it just me, or did I see this at real small?
Well, it's because look at how big it is.
Not just you, Carl.
No, I'm trying to make it just a little bit bigger, but it's a big budget. How's that? A little better? Let's maybe make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Even with glasses on, I'm kind of. But we're good. We cool.
That works for me.
All right. So.
Yep. I'm okay.
I'm going to draw your attention to this line here. The yellow line that cuts across this says total other expenses. It's kind of in the middle of your screen right now. The total other expenses are all expenses other than debt service and employee related costs. The total other expenses is proposed at $20,185,552.26. That's an increase of $2,317,445 over the $19,993,660. We're going to now scroll back up to the top. And Carl, I'm going to let you pick out what you feel is a highlight of this budget. Go ahead.
Okay. Postage over the years, postage has gone up. So that's additional 15,000. You can see what we expended in 2025. Let's see. Maintenance of buildings and facilities. You can see we overspent in 2025, so that we did an average, and that is just cleaning and maintenance of the water facilities and buying material, janitorial material to be able to do it. Some of the pump stations ourselves. 026 equipment, water equipment. It's just the cost of repairs and sending stuff out or buying some parts related to the equipment and that we use in the water utility. Let's see, what's 028 professional services. We have a lot of capital projects that we're working on and other engineering related projects, some of which we can't do in-house. So that's for a consultant to be able to do plans and do specs in order for us to go out to bid on larger projects such as pump station redesigns and other things. We're pretty much doing the water main replacements in-house through our capital projects engineer. What's another line there? What's the 15,000? Road materials, our latest bid. That's the cost of buying, for water main breaks and also paving, patching the roads for we have water breaks. That's the cost increase of asphalt and stone that we just rebid this past year. And those are the biggest for the lower, what I call lower items that I control. Electricity and all these other ones, we bumped up just because we were pretty close to our limits on almost 100% in 2025. And that's from like 071 down to 107. Yeah.
Carl, is it the tariffs, or is there something that you'll be doing additional with hydrants, repair and parts, that it's a 25% increase? It seems like you've been holding steady at 40 grand for many years. I'm talking about 0552.
So we've been phasing out certain types of hydrants that we can't get parts for anymore. So a developer had come in and put in like a Clow hydrant or American Darling or some US Pipe, something that they don't make parts for anymore. We physically just have to replace the hydrant. So that's the cost to buy the hydrants and the associated material, and then our staff will swap out a hydrant that annually that we do evaluations on through our main flushing program. If one is found defective, or we put it out of service, and then we schedule a replacement. So this is the cost to get that material or a new hydrant to be able to install it.
So the change with the parts availability is for the 25% increase?
Yeah, there have been a lot of, over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of consolidation. So, companies would just envelop other companies, and then the parts aren't available for what we have. And we have hydrants that are, 60 years old in town.
So the big line, Carl, is 072.
072 is our wholesale purchase of water.
And it's flat.
We're leaving it flat. We are, based on discussions and financial oversight, with our rate increase last year that went through in July, billed in October just because of the way we do quarterly billing. The revenues have come in, and I'm confident that that number is pretty good. We do have the automatic trigger should we want to, in ordinance, to increase rates. I don't think this year we're going to need to at this point, based on the numbers, current numbers that not only American, but we have a fixed number that we know from New Brunswick Water. I think we'll be okay to handle those increases this year.
And Carl, the amount of water that we're purchasing, I guess based on the fact that you're keeping that flat, means that you don't anticipate an increase in demand?
There'll be stuff coming online maybe next year, but I don't think anything this year. I think we're pretty flat, and we've actually increased our revenues with our water meter replacement project and also our leak detection projects.
I guess that's where I was going. Are we seeing less loss reported based on the meter replacements that have been done?
Absolutely. Significant.
You mentioned that in all those public works meetings, and I don't want to get into the details of it, but it looks like it's finally delivering on that whole situation, and that's good because we don't need to raise water rates, at least not for now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. The blue sections are the cost for liability insurance, medical insurance, Social Security, pensions, and disability, accumulated sick leave, which we spoke about in the last budget meeting for the rest of the town. This is, as you all know, the water utility operates as a separate entity for budget purposes. Debt service is slightly up for principal, slightly down for interest, showing a kind of a net difference of 23,000 and change decrease. And the overall water budget is proposed at $27,150,502.26, which is a slight decrease from the 29,739 in 2025. So, any questions on the water utility budget? If not,
thank you, Carl.
We'll move. Go ahead.
I just said thank you, Carl.
Oh, okay. If not, then I'm going to stop sharing this and open up the capital worksheet.
The main event.
Okay. Make that a little bit bigger for you. All right, the first sheet for capital is the road capital, Carl.
So our annual resurfacing program, the $3 million is the number that was discussed and came out of Public Works and also discussed at the last financial oversight. The next three are part of an overall maintenance and upgrade of roads that we put in for multiple years. Crack sealing, stormwater infrastructure, and streetscape. So crack sealing is extending the life of a road that was recently paved that might have a crack in it, preventing further degradation of the road, potholes. Stormwater infrastructure is for the purchase of materials for my staff to add catch basins, drainage, improve neighborhoods that are deficient in stormwater drainage. And streetscape is on these roads that we're doing to be able to do upgrade curbs, sidewalks, handicap ramps. Those are pretty much what we've targeted. Areas have been targeted over across the Hamilton Street district area. Canal Road guardrail phase 11. I think we're coming to the end of the road, meaning down by 518 along Canal Road. Last hopeful phase, about $100,000 left for maintenance, repairs, upgrades of deficient guardrail, which is a Merit style wooden guardrail with a steel backing, not typical that you see along highways, which is a steel guardrail. And number 6 came out of a meeting with engineering, tax lot consolidation. This is basically to be able to merge lots that have similar property, similar ownership, and based on zone, based on a bunch of other criteria. I know when I was in engineering, first starting back in 2007, it was discussed then. This would get somewhere, we have about 28,000 line items of tax line items on the books right now. This would eliminate probably about, 6,000 to 8,000 as we go through them, and just be able to update the tax maps also, which is, we've been doing in-house with help from our GIS technician in IT.
Could you explain why you would do that?
Why would I do that?
I mean, what is it that you're doing there? Give a more detailed explanation of what you're proposing there.
So right now you have these, for me, it becomes almost like a zoning issue. You have these small lots that are owned by, 50 by 100 lot that someone tries to put a house up, and, they go to the zoning board, and, there's limited options other than letting them put up the house. This would enable, merge and not have, infill type of zoning, which requires significant variances. That's the main reason I see doing it as an engineer.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
Honestly, I'm still not really understanding it.
All right, so here, I'll give you an example. Let me try to put it in layman's terms. So when you have a house that's built on, it's in the R10 zone, which is a 10,000 square foot zone, and you have a property that the house sits on 25-foot wide lots, and there's 4 25-foot wide lots, and the house sits on 3 of them and leaves 1 undeveloped, and all 4 of them are individual lots on the tax map. That 25-foot wide lot then can be merged with a lot next door to create a 50 by 100 lot. It's an undersized lot, but yet someone could buy the 2 25-foot wide lots and then make an application to the zoning board. And if there's no other available land on either side, then they would be granted the use variance that to build a house on the lot that's undersized. It happens fairly often with people, developers go out and buy undersized lots where there's no other land adjacent to it that can be acquired, and the municipal land use law states that that the variance shall be granted when there's no other land that can be acquired. So that's where you have these undersized lots being developed. What this would do is merge all of the lots into one lot for that property owner who owns all of them, and those lots make a conforming lot. It's a consolidation for that purpose and a number of other purposes. It wouldn't eliminate a person owning a conforming lot next to their developed lot. It would eliminate non-conforming lots next to their developed lot. I don't know. Does that make sense, Councilman?
I understand that much better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nothing we're doing there, it does make sense, but nothing we're doing there would in any way tip the scales to where there would be an easier or more often happening about the variances for building on those.
I mean, what it does is it might eliminate the development of undersized lots in certain parts of the town where the tax lots are primarily, the developed land is primarily made up of lots in the area of 25 by 100 or 50 by 100, and they're undersized by the zoning.
Thank you for that explanation, Bob. I'm okay. I don't know, everybody.
Okay. No. It's something it is very much, as Carl said, an engineering and a zoning function more so than a public works function. But the engineering department generally doesn't make capital budget requests, so that's why it's here. So, any other questions about the road capital? If not, we'll move on to recreation. Carl, I can handle this. So the recreation department made a request for tables, new tables in the senior center for not only for the senior meeting functions, but also hall rentals. They've asked for 10 32-inch round tables and 10 6-foot folding tables for a total of $7,500 to replace old tables. Doesn't sound like any questions there, so we'll move on to the building capital. Carl, this one's all yours.
DPW admin area building addition. This would be out the front of the building to create a more customer service friendly environment for people that do come and visit, not only in the public works but the water side. Half of the money, what's shown here is the half amount, would be funded by water also, since we're a common department. The next two are different buildings, but the same. One is the municipal building and one is PD. Both buildings have cast iron sewer drain lines that frequently back up. I had municipal building, we just cleared one yesterday, and PD had an issue last week. This would be for someone to come in and reline the interior plumbing, underground plumbing, sewer lines, similar to what the Sewage Authority just did on the mains and the entire lower end. This would extend the life of the existing pipes and just make them almost like a smooth lined pipe. Floor cleaning machine was requested for, we recently got epoxy floors in our garage bays, and could also be used in cleaning up municipal building hallways, and also meeting rooms when the cleaning service is not available if we need to. Salt barn, big ticket item, second salt barn. With this, I guess, season of storm, the expectation from residents is that we're going to, after a storm, whatever storm it might be a big storm or a small storm, the expectation is that their road is going to get brined and before the storm, and it's going to get salted after the storm. Our current barn holds about 2,500 ton of salt, and it is shared with the county. It was built as a shared service through a funding opportunity with them when we put it up probably about 7 years ago now. For us to be able to live up to that expectation, we need more salt. This would be a secondary barn to replace the current dome that is in the convenience center now. That would be a replacement of that dome. And the salt barn, this 650 would hold approximately 5,000 ton of salt. Each time we go around town and salt every street, it's approximately 1,000 ton. Maybe close to 1,200, depending on the severity and length of the storm, where we may have to hit the mains a second time. So we pretty much deplete our portion of the salt in our current barn after one storm. We did have some issues with, availability, which was pretty much broadcasted amongst the state, delivery of salt on the back-to-back storms that we had over this past season. DPW vehicle floor lift replacement. It's kind of funny. The guy was here today doing a re-inspection on it to see if they can get any kind of parts or do it everything. And one of the heavy equipment lifts so it's basically a truck lift, not a pickup truck lift, is pretty much end of life. It came somewhere after the building was built, and it's been maintained, but I mean, the lift is pretty much what they're saying, end of life. The senior center asked for an ice machine replacement in the kitchen. I could tell you that machine was here when I started in 2007, so I don't even know when it was, but it's pretty much end of life. We've had significant amount of maintenance issues with it, keeping it clean and actually producing the proper size ice for whatever reason that is. And it's very costly to get a specialist in here every time we have to go to an external vendor for maintenance that we can't handle. Municipal building, electric vehicle gate access. So alongside of the construction wing, across from the animal shelter front door, we have a municipal vehicle electric charging station lot. What we've seen is there's been people that have been trying to access the charging stations for our vehicles in that lot. Now and then we chase people out. This would be for a gate similar to what you see in a parking deck, an armed gate for only access to township staff. And that is buildings.
So Carl, let me take you back to the largest number here on the salt barn.
Yep.
Are we right-sizing capacity based on average winter usage, or are we right-sizing capacity based on peak usage?
So we are, a little bit of mix because I also have to factor in the availability of deliveries. So the last storm of beginning at mid-February, I actually had to outsource through one of the paving trap rock. I had to buy sand to mix with the salt in order to extend my tonnage to be able to salt the roads after the storm that we knew was going to be pretty bad. The 650 would be the 5,000 ton would be a barn that would it would hold us for the next 5 to 10 years of expansions in town.
Okay, so there is an option to do a smaller or a phased expansion if you wanted to?
Well, a lot of the barns, you set the size and they're pretty much not expandable. I would hesitate to go anything smaller than what we have now. I had reached out during the last storm to Somerset County, who has, tremendous amount of barns up in the hills and also Bridgewater and even South County in Hillsborough. And it was to the point where, they provide for a couple towns such as Bridgewater, Raritan, and I believe maybe South Boundbrook, I'm not 100%, but so it means trucks go there. In past years, we have been able to get some salt where they would deliver it to us, but in this past year and the year before, it just hasn't been feasible because of the type of delivery schedule that we get. I try to salt the mains and do the secondaries and tertiaries as necessary in a storm, anticipating the weather, and the sun coming out and melting rather than salt. I have to keep the mains open for school buses and everything. But it became a significant issue over the past 2 years. And it's not like I'm not ordering the salt. This past storm, I had 2,000 ton on order, meaning I only had 500 tons to do the entire town in the barn.
So is this in addition to the existing barn? You said the dome building.
So the dome that is in the convenience center right now was our old salt storage facility. That only held about 750 ton. So that wasn't even able now to be able to do the entire town once with salt, all roads. That old dome on the corner of Berry and School would be taken down and replaced with a building that we currently, similar to what we have, just a little less larger, at the end of our public works facility by our gas fuel tanks. This would be a second building.
Okay.
And like I said, the county does, being that it's a long drive back to either North County or South, they do come and we fill their trucks, as well as we provide the salt for all the Board of Education vehicles, for all their parking lots, their driveways. They do come for their equipment to fill, to do their parking lots.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that?
Do we have any relationship with the city of New Brunswick? Is there anything we can do there in terms of shared facilities for the salt barn?
Not really. It almost becomes it almost becomes home rule at the point where everybody is in the same situation and no one's willing to lend or be able to provide for another. And hopping counties is if Somerset County wasn't able to give to us in the past couple of storms, because of their needs and the anticipated other future storms that were forecast near from a previous storm, we in the past had been able to go to them, but they were cut thin just as us. I mean, it was very worrisome to see an empty barn. I know one of the other Middlesex County mayors in Piscataway, he actually did a whole thing on News 12 and, I don't want to say forced the governor's hand, but got the governor to talk to the port to be able to send trucks up there to get salt. They have tandems to be able to pick up 25 tons at a time because they do paving. They have their own paving operation in Piscataway. So their public works does all that, and they were able to get some emergency salt. I had even reached out to OEM, and Sergeant Farrar, who was on before, reached out to some places in Pennsylvania, Philly, and got some lines on places that may be able to deliver, but it was still a week out. And that was anticipating them not needing it to provide the contracts of where they have locally around the Philadelphia area. So it becomes it becomes worrisome, and we've expanded our dome, since I've gone down here. We're changing it and building a barn. Like I said, I just have to keep, some reserve for not only the Board of Ed, but the county, who, paid for a portion of the salt.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
There we go.
DPW vehicles and equipment.
So we've talked over the past, I would say 10 years regarding a paving machine. We do now have a foreman that is adept in paving. He came to us about 18 months ago from New Brunswick, where he actually used to pave streets. We're not going to get to that level, but some of the areas that you see and probably get from constituents, the repeated potholes, repeated issues on streets where it may be an isolated area and not, the entire street. This is the type of machine we would need, and we bought the roller a couple years ago, the larger roller, to be able to do a more permanent, if not long-term, fix on roads that have, become deficient. Asking for 2 truck chassis with plow. So if you recall, we have 5 2003, so now 22, 23-year-old Sterling dump trucks that over the years we have upgraded the spreaders, upgraded the bodies, some of them upgraded plows. The frame and engine is pretty much end of life now. So what we're planning on doing is taking the bodies off, taking the spreaders off, and putting them on a new chassis. So a more newer, saving money to be able to do that and repurpose some of the things that we purchased and upgraded on these vehicles. It's getting to the point where, the hopes would be, as we are phasing out 5 of our 2003 Sterlings, we would keep the chassis and be able to pull parts off to maintain the other ones that are still in service. We have one that's up now getting outfitted, so this would be 2, and then we still would have 2 more left for future years. A single axle truck with spreader and plow. This is a whole new setup, whole new truck to replace an end of life that we are taking out of service just because of lack of availability of GMC parts. The parts for one of these trucks haven't been made for 10 years, and it just so happens that, you know, nobody has it, nobody can make it, and the truck is now going to have to come out of service because of it. Another single axle truck as part of a replacement for basically a 1-year-old truck that was involved and totaled in a motor vehicle accident. We did get insurance money, not the amount you see here to cover a portion of it, but we would like to replace that truck that was totaled. Vehicle washing station. These have become more popular on the East Coast and North. This is a station which is basically a power washer that you drive through to be able to get salt off the chassis of a large truck, a piece of equipment, a pickup truck. It's basically a car wash, industrial car wash for public works equipment. Mainly related to desalting the chassis to prevent future rot and wear. 10-foot dump trailer. This is being asked for so we could, you know, do smaller jobs and not have to double handle the dirt, the leaf bags, the branches, anything that we're picking up that requires to be dumped out of a trailer. Brine trailer, this is the second trailer, and this would be the fourth piece of equipment. We currently have 2 tanks that are mounted on older single axle trucks, and we have 1 brine trailer. This would be a second brine trailer, and the original master plan when we purchased all the brine equipment was that we would have 2 single axle trucks, so large dump trucks with tanks to do smaller streets such as cul-de-sacs, and then we would have 2 trailers, brine trailers, that would hold more and be able to do large deployment on larger roads, industrial roads, main roads is what we consider main roads, large roads such as DeMott Lane and respective roads like that size and volume. This would be able to last year we were able to cover 3/4 to, you know, another one for use that we currently have 1. This would be a second. This one that we have at Municipal Building was very effective because we took on the complex ourselves this year. And I could just give you a dollar amount on how much we saved. So if we, based on prior year's bids, if we were to, if we had a contractor doing it this year, Municipal Building over the course of all the storm events, which would be the larger snow events, as well as the minor salting during storms or, you know, a smaller, you know, rain/ice/sleet event or a minor snow event. So we've saved in that snow budget about $175,000 between the difference of a contractor doing it and the township staff doing it. You know, we're able to pre-treat the roads, we're able to pre-treat, or the parking lot, we're able to pre-treat the sidewalks, and this machine is, you know, is trailer mounted or trailer accessible, so we could bring it back and forth to the youth center, which we've been doing, as well as do our other buildings, you know, such as 935 and buildings that need it. This would be a second machine for that. Again, salt spreaders, these 3 would be for pickup mounted Again, the demand or the expectation from residents is that, after a storm, my street needs to be salted. This would give us the ability to not only salt after the storm with the 3 pickup type trucks, but also during the storm in certain zones that we don't currently have spreaders. Stand-on skid steer, this is requested from our tree crew. This is to be able to get to areas that we take down trees that may not be accessible to a loader or like a trailer, so somewhere in the woods or somewhere not accessible. This would be able to get the wood and branches in the tree that we took down out and away. A grappler for the 244, which is a smaller loader we bought about 10 years ago. This again was also requested by the tree crew. We had this in the budget prior to I think it was in the 2024 budget, and it wasn't available for a year for whatever reason. It was a John Deere attachment. Since then, the price has more than doubled, almost tripled. We did have money in the budget, capital budget back then. This is the full cost now to be able to purchase that attachment for the loader, which is, is be able to move around trees and trunks and everything. And another hot item, pavement, potholes, everything we've seen of recent with the, multiple storms and freeze-thaw cycles and cold pavement cycles that we've had over this past winter. This would be a second hot box to be able to get to those potholes in a more timely manner. Each of the hot boxes only hold 4 tons, and that's pretty much a standard size. There's always one plant that's open around the area, and this year it's in Edison, which isn't too bad, right down 287. It's a lot cleaner and more efficient if we can put hot material back in the potholes to repair them in a more permanent than cold patch. Cold patch also is more than double the cost of typical asphalt in a winter type mix. And typically we would have to go back in the spring because the cold patch rarely keeps. It's only a temporary fix, and have to go back and do that pothole again. Most of the places we would have to go back and have had to go back. So this would be a second hot box for asphalt repairs.
Any questions here?
Just on the vehicle washing station for the 125,000 car, I understand washing helps extend vehicle life when you remove salt and corrosion that occurs. The question is the option of spending $125,000 upfront in capital versus ongoing external washing cost options. So just trying to understand, if the usage is going to be limited to just a handful of salt events, would it be better to use external options as needed?
So for larger equipment and equipment that had the type of equipment that would go through this washing station doesn't fit through like a car wash. We do have a wash bay, but it doesn't have the ability to have that desalter additive that goes into this type of system to be able to get all that salt off and prevent corrosion in certain areas. We've demoed this system, and it's become more and more popular amongst municipalities to prolong the life of equipment. And for a cost basis, 125 may seem a lot for an onset, but the system that we were talking to one of the other towns in North Jersey, they've had and it's an older system, doesn't have the bells and whistles of what you can get today as far as, monitoring and everything and what's, based on the type of equipment that's going through. I mean, they've had their system for 20 years already. And their equipment costs, replacement costs have decreased.
Okay, and do we also use it for police or DPW or emergency vehicles?
So the police department, I believe, to go to one of the local establishments, car wash. Can they use it? They can. It does. They still have to vacuum out the inside, but they would be able to. It's going to be a drive-through type system. It's not like you're backing up before. It would be like you're going through a car wash. But it's just one zone, you know what I'm saying? It's an undermount, it does the undercarriage, and it has different heights on the sides, depending on the equipment, it could be adjusted for, to be able to get, the full height of that piece.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. Water budget, water capital.
So again, the building addition, I'll expand a little more. This is for the admin, moving to, where we currently have our sign out front. The addition would be in front of the building. The cost is reduced because, again, I have a capital projects engineer. She is going to be responsible for GMing the entire, or CMing the entire project. There's going to be an aspect on this that, Public Works people may help do the tenant fit out, or the fit out of it. It is, we have limited space for when people come in. It's a very small hallway that can't be expanded just because the building was built for a different time where you had a population of 30,000. The building's 45 years old. This would be able to give like a reception area, sort of like construction has. There'd be a waiting area. There'd be a counter where people could do paperwork. Right now, it's like a shuffle back and forth, and very unfriendly to people, developers, and other residents that come in. They do come in frequently for water issues. They do frequently come in to purchase passes, to get recycling bins. So we do have a decent amount of foot traffic that come into the building on a daily basis. Annual main replacement program. We're keeping, again, the $2 million. This is for my capital projects engineer to design a replacement on a road where we add meter pits to reduce leakage on service lines, and then this will be inspected by our capital projects part-time and full-time inspectors. We do collect annually about this much. It's right around 1.9, close to $2 million. And what we implemented a few years ago, it's called a DISC charge. So basically it's a infrastructure improvement charge that's paid per usage, per gallon usage by the ratepayers. That would offset, this dollar amount here in order for us to upgrade. And that's what the account was basically, the DISC account was set up for, to be able to do these improvements at a cash rather than, having to bond extravagantly. Apartment retrofit meter pits. This again is to add meter pits to properties. that to capture any kind of leakage, to reduce, because the mains that are in apartments, such as, Franklin Greens, which is over here on 1 JFK, those mains in those properties are theirs. There's no kind of leak detection that's required. They could be leaking, and it's basically water that is just, is part of our leak numbers that we don't collect revenue for. This would capture the entire complex. We would continue to maintain the mains next to the curb boxes, and everything else between the meter pits would be theirs. If it leaks, then they get billed. Pump station upgrade.
This would avoid
yes.
I'm sorry, Carl.
Yeah,
so this would help eliminate the bypasses that may be getting abused.
This would definitely help that, because in the buildings, a lot of these apartment complexes are 30 years old plus. In the buildings, they do have bypasses, and we periodically see that maybe somebody has accidentally opened the bypass, so that means they're getting water for free, not going through the meter. This would eliminate it, because we would have full control of these pits. Yes.
Okay, good.
So
the biggest problem, Councilman, is that for certain apartment complexes, think of the larger apartment complexes in town, all of their water infrastructure underground is got water flowing through it that's not yet been metered. And in a number of instances, leakage has been found that is pre-meter, because the meters are in the individual buildings. This would eliminate that loss that we experience on the billing end, and perhaps encourage them to better maintain their infrastructure.
And through the meters being that at the, let's say, at the street or part of, adjacent to a township road, the meters would be able to pick up those leaks in order to give them, ample notice rather than getting a significant bill. But right now, there's no reason for them to fix it, because as Bob had mentioned, it's before the meter. Pump station upgrades, we deferred the upgrades, and I did some temporary repairs last year, but with equipment that will be reusable when we do a full pump station upgrade. So this is to the money to be able to do those facility upgrades that on equipment that is nearing or part of end of life. SCADA upgrades. Our SCADA system was redone in 2018, and now there's some modules, there's firmware, there's some back-end work that needs to be upgraded. This is just the cost to be able to replace modules, nodes, add some additional sensors that are required that were missing from the original. And that's throughout not only the pump stations and tanks, but also our interconnects.
The listening public, SCADA is the control system for the water.
Sorry, yes, the control system for the water system. Hamilton Street main replacement. This is a big item. In 2029, the county will be reconstructing, not just repaving, reconstructing as part of what they call a roadway diet, similar to what they did in Manville on Main Street. They, from New Brunswick to Franklin Boulevard, they're getting a federal grant to do that. Our current water main in the street is AC, asbestos concrete, and is slated for replacement This would give us 2/3 of the amount of money to be able to start the project. Again, we only have this year, next year, and 2028 to be able to get everything done, water main replaced. And if you recall, we currently did 90% and will continue over the next year or so. We did 90% of the mains from Hamilton down to Route 27. So Brookline all the way over to Matilda, all those mains have been replaced over the past 4 years as part of the Water Department capital project, and also partially funded by the ARP money, that federal money we got over the past 2 years that we've expended. So we've done a significant amount. All those properties, with the exception of Home and Ambrose, are on meter pits. We're going through and doing a streetscape on those roads and drainage and curbs, and and then repaving as part of the water department's required cost for the projects. Hamilton Street, the overall for all 3 phases comes in at about $5.25 million. So, it needs to be done before they do their formal federal reconstruction. Kingston Pump Station, additional money. Costs have gone up for the pump station building in relation to that whole interconnect that we did in Kingston, running about 6,600 feet of main up to Trap Rock. This is for the pump station to be built. A portion more. We have some money in prior year capital, but based on the estimates, everything has gone up, especially the specialty equipment such as pumps and relays. This is to be able to go out to bid, hopefully over the summer, late this year, for that construction of the station. Water billing folding machine. My hope is that we'll be able to get on to monthly billing. Right now we're quarterly. Monthly billing would require a second folding machine to be able to process and mail out those bills in the collector's office, and that's the cost as a backup machine.
You mean people would be billed monthly?
Yes, we'd be changing from quarterly to monthly to be more in line with pretty much 90% of all the utilities around us, and also in the state that do. Yes.
Well, I'm not for or against it, but I think that's something that should be reviewed in the administration committee, because that is a dramatic change.
It's already been discussed at Councilman. It's already been discussed at Financial Oversight. This is a budget ask for the machine that would be able to do it. This is not anything that would take place until 2027. So you'll have more than ample opportunity at the committee level to discuss whether we move to it or not.
Okay, but if we authorize it and we buy that.
And that's why it's here, and you certainly can make the recommendation to move that to a future year. But if you were to begin billing in January of 2027 on a monthly basis, you need to have the machinery in place beforehand. So that's why it's being asked for in the 2026 capital.
I understand. I totally am not know if I'm for or against it, but it is a very dramatic change, and I just would want us to be able to review it more, but we could do that at a meeting. I didn't know.
This is not the time to do that.
No, I understand. I understand. I didn't know it was in the works, but thank you. While I have the mic for a minute, and that was the last item, the DPW Building Administration Edition. Again, an item I'm not against, but you got a $750,000 price tag. I know that building somewhat. I would be curious if whether it's at a committee meeting or just I'd like to see the plan, the tentative plan, design, layout that's based on, because I think in addition and doing something that would increase customer service and the efficiency of that building is great. But I would be very curious to see if there must be something that the 750 was based on. So and later we can review it. And I would, hope all my colleagues would look at it, but especially Public Works or, committee, if we could, please, Carl.
100%. I could send that to you and Bob tomorrow. We do have a concept. We do have a square footage, and I asked the Board of Ed architect about a cost for that type of public works building per square foot, and that's where we came into the number to be about $750. But I could show you the layout. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting it's not an accurate price estimate. I'm just very curious to see what that type of expansion and. I'm sorry, it was actually these things are great, by the way. The Hamilton Street build out is definitely needed. If you can go back a slide, I apologize. My mic.
I had a question on that one, actually, if I may.
Go ahead.
Oh. May I, Jim? I just wanted to actually.
I'll come back when you're done.
Okay, thank you. I just want to second what Councilman mentioned about the item number 8. At least I need to personally understand what are the benefits to taxpayers and for the township. I mean, I'm thinking about myself that we will talk more about it, but I think that number 8 needs to be kind of to put aside for now until we better understand any benefits to the taxpayers.
So first off, let's not confuse things. It's ratepayers, not taxpayers. This is the water utility, so I don't want to get that confused. Well, there are a lot of people who pay taxes.
That's right, residents.
But having said that, so certainly you can have discussions after this meeting about the benefits of billing monthly versus quarterly. But I will just say that the largest benefit is for the person who gets a 1-month bill where they had a leaking toilet versus a quarterly bill where they had a leaking toilet, and it amounts to a significant amount more loss through leakage in a house on a monthly basis, a much larger loss on a quarterly bill than on a monthly bill.
Okay, but we just put in certain measures.
This is for when someone gets their bill, Jim, not what the measures are for our leakage, the homeowner's leakage. Okay. When it happens often where we get and we have to deal with it on a regular basis.
I understand.
When someone comes in, let me finish my thought here. When someone comes in and wants to know that why is their bill $700, $800, $900 for a quarter when ordinarily they pay $100. Well, that type of leakage gets caught much more quickly when it's monthly billing versus quarterly billing.
So let's discuss this in another video.
No, I know.
Exactly, but that's the reason why.
Lots to discuss, not reason to get into it now.
Right. So moving on to
for what it's worth.
We're going to discuss this in another venue.
All right, that's fine, Mayor. I appreciate that.
And I know someone said sewer can actually be annual. Sewer is a flat rate, has nothing to do with usage. Right. Sewer bills are a flat rate bill
for residents. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. They don't pay by usage.
Doing it quarterly for the whole life. We'll talk about it in the meetings. Yep. Just real quick, if you can go back a slide to the buildings. To the buildings. Sorry, to the buildings. My computer was having an issue. I apologize. I tried to ask the question before. I know it's one of the smaller items, but there's 2 items I'd be remiss not to ask about. The EV gate. I kind of know where you're talking about. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It's next to the police station. If it's a crime to steal electric, I'm just wondering, instead of a $15,000 gate, if there's a way you put a sign as big and bold as possible, it is a crime. You can be put in jail, whatever it is. I understand that's not what we would put. But if that's bold right there next to machines and people are going to blatantly steal electric from next to a police station, and we have cameras out there, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but if there's one place that we should not have to be paying that kind of money, I know it's a small item. So again, we don't need to get deep into it. I'd just be remiss. I made some notes before. I don't understand that, but there may be an explanation that I'm not aware of. And then the only other thing I want to mention, I know we got that big, beautiful $600,000 floor, and I'm really glad, I don't say that sarcastically, that all of our needs for public works is getting up to date. But is it easier that the occasion we need to clean a floor, instead of buying a piece of equipment that we'll have to maintain and get parts for and replace, et cetera, that maybe we just do it somehow else, either through our contractor that does cleaning, or a separate, is there an easier way to do it than get another piece of equipment that then brings all those other concerns with it?
So this equipment is what you may see in like a Home Depot or a Lowe's, where it's a mini Zamboni, and it's a walk behind. It's my staff has tried to upkeep it, especially going through the snow, season.
How often would they use it?
They would use it more than monthly, I'll tell you that.
Carl, let me ask you a question. How much does our cleaning company bill us to clean the floors in the municipal building? One-time cleaning.
You got me there. It comes out to be, I think it comes out to be 68 cents a square foot.
I think it's about $4,000 to $5,000 each time they clean and buff the terrazzo tile floors in the municipal building.
And
that's one time.
Yeah.
So maybe we should be cleaning those ourselves too? No, seriously, I don't know.
Well, that's what this machine would be able to do. That's
we'd be able to clean all of our So this would actually.
And that was mentioned earlier. It would be able to clean all of the tile flooring throughout the buildings.
If you crunch the numbers and you're stating it's a cost saving in the long run, I fully support it. Thank you. Those were only two questions back then, so you can jump back to the present one. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great.
Bob, can I ask you just one?
Go ahead.
Bob, can I just ask one question?
Sure.
On that that water billing machine?
Yeah.
I would definitely go for that for one reason. If I'm wrong, straighten me out. Isn't that what PSE&G does?
PSE&G sends yes. Imagine getting a let's say quarterly $750 quarterly bill from PSE&G rather than a $250 monthly bill.
I look at it because if you're a senior and you're budgeting your bills that you're lining up, and if okay, I can look at what I spent last month, which was $25, versus this month at $50 over the last 3 months. What was my average cost to pay? So I would go with that monthly bill so that I can say, hey, let me pay that monthly bill now instead of getting caught in 3 months. So I'm definitely for that water bill.
Okay.
And then I could look over that over the year and say, last year I did this or whatever, but it would be just like a PSE&G bill that they break down beautifully. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank
you. Thanks, Councilman.
All right. So the next is... I would like to make one more comment on the water capital budget. Just as an FYI, certainly no promises here, but the Hamilton Street main replacement for $3.5 million was the subject of 2 grant applications that were filed today with Senators Booker and Kim for a federal grant program application. We made it to both senators in the event that they will choose their particular programs that they look to move forward into the federal process. So we made applications to both senators this morning. So hopefully, keep fingers crossed. If you know Senator Booker or Senator Kim, put in a good word for us.
Maybe they'll both fund us.
Bob, did you ever
Maybe they'll both fund us, and we can get the entire project funded.
On the electric vehicle gate, just curious before we move back. Without casting aspersions on our police department, when someone pulls into the parking lot at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening to go to the library because the other electric vehicle charging stations are full, I don't know that the police department necessarily pays attention to it. And for the short period of time that they're there, they basically charge their vehicle for no charge, because obviously we don't charge ourselves to charge our vehicles. And oftentimes there are empty spots because vehicles
bills are out at other locations and not being charged in that particular parking lot. But that's, again, that's the observations that have been made, and those observations are made not in real time, but when we get the bill for a vehicle charging there that doesn't belong to us.
I've personally chased one person out.
So anyway, that's what that's about. But again, this is something that you can certainly make the recommendation here, Councilman, and all of the recommendations made tonight for various adjustments to these capital budget items or the OE budgets as well will be evaluated at the financial oversight level. So I hear you, and I'm certainly not disagreeing with you that it's disappointing that that happens. Unfortunately, there's some experience in it happening. Okay, open space. So we'll do the open space capital. Once this capital budget request is completed, then we can move to the open space budget with our land management consultant, Tara Kenyon, and Carl and myself. So, Carl?
2 zero-turn mowers. These are the mowers we use to mow our parks to replace a 10, 12-year-old mower end of life based on the amount of hours on it. A wide area mower. This is a mower that has pretty much a 12-foot wingspan to be able to mow the larger properties such as Middlebush Park, Williams Park, the cricket fields that we have on Weston, the new fields or Inman, soccer and everything. This would be a second one from the one we have. All-terrain mower. This is a mower that we found to be able to more efficiently, without damaging our retrofitted detention basins and trail areas that are somewhat inaccessible for our typical wheel mowers. This is almost like a track mower, very lightweight to be as far as per square inch, as far as weight ratio on the soil. We've seen when we bring in a tractor mower with a batwing mowing these basins, we are doing some damage just because of the weight of the equipment, i.e. creating ruts and mosquito breeding grounds at the bottom of these basins, which the New Jersey, the State Water Authority has retrofitted for us for free, and we maintain. This came from Recreation through the tennis club or whatever that is for Inman, requesting a windscreen for the brand new courts and fence that we finished up last year. Senior Center for Grasso Grove, a pavilion. This would be similar to what's not completely the same size, but similar to what is adjacent to the concession stand at Middlebush Park, a shaded area with we could put picnic tables under for the seniors, and you'd also be able to use this as another revenue event or area for rentals for recreation for that Grasso Grove area next to the senior center. Portable pickleball nets, again for Inman. These are for, I guess, the striped. We striped 3 of the 6 area fields. Well, not fields.
Tennis courts.
Courts for it's late for pickleball. So these would be portable nets to be able to use to play them. And then in the pool at Williams, they've asked for benches, more permanent benches for the pool area. And that's open space.
So I just had a couple things here. The windscreens for Inman courts are primarily for pickleball, to block the wind on the pickleball courts. The ball is a little bit lighter than a tennis ball. So they've asked for the windscreens for Inman's courts. The Grasso Grove Pavilion at $125,000 is also the subject of a New Jersey Recreation grant right now that we hope to receive funding for. That's a 75-25% share, 75% grant, 25% cash share on the part of the town. And we are hoping that we won't have to utilize the $125,000 if we get the grant. The seniors have asked for additional shade areas in Grasso's Grove, as Carl said. It could also be utilized on weekends for people having family picnics and what have you when they rent out our picnic pavilions throughout the town. The portable pickleball nets are not only for Inman Park, but also could be used for indoor wintertime pickleball at the middle school where pickleball is held. Questions on open space capital? Okay. Any other capital questions or requests?
Just for the public's consumption, the mowers that you're proposing, will they be used other places other than open space?
The right-of-ways and other places are not conducive to a wide area mower just because of the size.
Okay.
So I'll chime in here. I don't want anyone to ever think that certainly we purchased this equipment because its primary function is to be used in the parks and open space properties. There are occasions certainly where mowers are used on properties other than open space or park properties, just like there's a great deal of equipment, including every single vehicle that gets utilized to maintain our parks and open space properties that's funded out of the general capital budget. It's kind of a share and share alike situation.
How many times this season do you get called by me and other council members because a park needs mowing?
I would say that the numbers have come down, but I would say probably at least a dozen times a year someone calls and says, why isn't Middlebush Park soccer fields cut yet, or Sampson's soccer fields cut yet, or the softball fields at Middlebush, or it goes on and on and on. There is a whole lot of grass to be cut, especially between the high grow seasons between April and July. It tends to taper off a little bit with the scorching summer heats, but and that also coincides with peak playing times on those fields.
Okay. Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Are you telling on me about Neiman Williams Park?
I'm not telling you on anybody. I'm just telling you the facts of life. The facts of life are is that there's a lot of blades of grass to cut, and we need mowers to do it.
I get a lot of those
invest in goats. Get goats to do it.
Having said that, moving on, Carl, if there are no other questions or comments on the capital budgets that Carl put forward, I'm going to ask that we move on to our open space budget, because we still have IT to do, and it's getting to be now 25 to 10. So, Tara, are you there? Has anyone taken note of whether Tara Kenyon is here?
I've not seen anything that says that.
I do not see her.
I haven't seen her on all night on the list.
Well, that's fine, because I can certainly handle the open space budget, since Carl and I, along with Tara, were the ones that did it all based on the sections. No, we're ready to move now. She hasn't been in. There must have been something that came up that she was unable to make it. Okay. Is everybody seeing the open space budget there?
Bob, once again, could you make it just a little bit bigger?
I just asked if you could see it. I didn't ask if you could read it. I will be more than happy to make it. I got to make sure it's on the screen. Then I'll get it to the size you can read it, Councilman. All right. So the Open Space Trust Fund budget is proposed at, for the total salary and wage, other expenses and capital improvement fund is proposed at $1,996,241.21, which is a decrease of $637,532. The 25 budget was at $2,633,733. The overwhelming cause for reduction is the decrease in capital improvement fund based on the decrease in capital improvement requests. This is cash capital, not bonded capital. The prior year capital requests were at $990,000. This year, as you just heard, the capital requests for 2026 are at $293,500. There is an increase in the salary line. This year's salary budget request is $897,291.21. 2025 salaries for full-time employees was at $685,073. That's a $212,000 increase. That increase is due to the fact that the primary employees working in the Parks Maintenance Department are members of the CWA. As Council may recall, you recently approved a contract settlement with the CWA, and their contract, they were out of contract since 2021. So clearly they've received their increases for 2022, 23, 24, 25, and 26, and that brings their salaries up to $897,000. That is the funding of 10 employees for 10 months of the year and 2 employees for 12 months a year.
Are we paying benefits?
We are not paying benefits. We are not paying pension, health care benefits, or any other employee costs, including their Social Security and withholding. All those are funded wholly out of the general fund budget.
So the formula is the same. It's just the numbers we're putting in are inflated because of raises.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It is literally 0.833%. So 83.3% of the full salary is charged to open space for those 10 employees. That is 10/12, 5/6, reduced to a percentage. There are some other adjustments to the budget in line, such as other contractual items. It was at $75,000. That's been reduced to $50,000. Other contractual items are generally appraisal services for open space acquisitions. So we've seen an underutilization of budget monies in that line. So I reduced it by $25,000 there. And then the water. So the open space has to pay for water for irrigation at athletic fields based on usage. That was reduced by $20,000, and then some smaller reductions, several $1,000s in various lines where I saw that there was either over budgeting or underutilization, however you want to look at it, to bring it in more line with the actual spending as of 12/31/25 from the prior year budget. So that did bring a reduction down. Some of the numbers to pay attention to, I guess, are the estimated open space tax for 2026 is $8.683 million. That's an increase of about $334,000 in tax revenue going into the open space trust, which means after all is said and done with debt service and operating costs and salary and wage, the amount left after expenses, if all of the budget monies were expended, would be just under $6 million being reserved in the trust. was a lot of fast talking. Any questions on the open space budget? I hear none. Okay. One of the other things, and I'll throw it in there. There's been some discussion, I know, about debt service and outstanding debt in the Open Space Trust. Debt service is down by about $124,000, and it's currently, with principal and interest, is at $731,175, and you can see going all the way back to this first column, which is 2022. In 2022, debt service was at $2.189 million. That was the maturing in that year of one of the open space bonds, and it's gone down from 908 to 904 to 855, and now to 731. So the bonds are maturing and decreasing in debt service. Any questions on the open space budget? Okay. So that completes Public Works and Open Space. So Carl, thank you. And I will have a talk with you tomorrow morning about what we talked about here tonight. And the next budget to be discussed is the IT budget with Krista Hegedus, our IT director. So I am going to share that. This is just the OE budget for IT as well as IT capital. So 1 second, I'll bring that up on the screen. Okay, so the IT budget is proposed at $699,430. That's a decrease of $19,035 from, I'm sorry, an increase, not a decrease, an increase of $19,035 from a 2025 budget of $680,395. The bulk of the IT budget, overwhelming majority of money budgeted in IT, is in line 138, software licensing. As you can imagine, for all of the operations of the town, software is a very expensive proposition, and that's budgeted at $522,910. But Krista, if you could just walk us through your budget.
Sure. All right. So the 026 maintenance and other equipment, it was, the difference is because there was some allocation adjustments made between, a lot of our stuff is split between water, IT, and UCC. There was also a move that was originally budgeted here, but it was moved to 138 to the software budget because it's software, it's a web-based system, it's not hardware. So that was that difference. The professional consultant, I increased due to vendor rate adjustments. What else here? The conference, I don't plan on going to as many conferences that was budgeted for from the previous years. The education and training, the cost of training for IT classes, for week classes, have increased over the years. With backfilling one of the positions, ensuring that staff have updated technical training, I added some. So at least maybe two or three can get in there to get some training. And the big line item is 059. The data processing equipment is for toner. That was moved from the manager's budget into my budget. And then I increased it due to cost increases. And the software, so the software budget went, it dropped by 18,000. There were a few things that software applications that we no longer were using, so I didn't renew them. One big software item was budgeted under IT, and it was about 29,000 actually, and it's for census, the water meter. And what else? I think that was pretty much it.
Okay. Any questions for the IT operating budget? Okay. Well, then we will move to the capital budget.
Okay.
So the right column in yellow, highlighted in yellow, is the 26 budget. There you can see the prior year budgets going back to 2020 for technology capital. The overall budget for capital is, for the township, is at 587,000, which is a decrease from last year's 632.5. But I'll just scroll down for you, Krista. You can start at the top.
Sure. So every year we put in for computer printer server replacement. That's just to keep up with her equipment to be under warranties. I had increased it because the last big purchase, the prices of everything had increased. The municipal WAN upgrades. So that is to keep up with our end-of-life switches, our back-end switches. We did last year a lot of replacements, so this is just really to keep up with anything, a few that go to end of life this year and or add. The door access system, so that's our the automatic locks for our doors and a card access system, and it's to add more to, when we did this project over the years, we just slowly keep adding to more doors. So it's throughout all of our buildings.
Is that for all of our buildings or the public safety buildings specifically?
So this specific was for the public safety. They wanted to add more. Video surveillance.
Sorry, I jumped on you there.
That's okay.
There we go.
Right, that's where we're at, right? 25.
Yep.
As we spoke about this in the financial oversight, the police's goal is to cover all of the blind spots around the police building. There's also some that I feel that need to be also covered around the municipal side of things. So that's to add more cameras. Mac. So I think we're at
MacBook Youth Center.
Yeah, MacBook. So this was a request by Wendy White to replace the desktops in the lab that they use Mac Pro computers, and they requested to use the MacBooks to switch them out. Data Cove Email Archiver, that's our hardware that we archive all of our emails, and that is at end of life. So it has to be replaced. For the credit card payment solution, this is the goal is to have to take more credit cards online, and for that I would like to get a one-stop portal where, for the kiosks in the building, for people at home on the website to be able to go to one stop where they can make all their payments. For that, there's a software solution for that there would be one page where there's no matter what payment you're trying to make, it would be available to the resident, and they don't have to go find it on the website.
Will that be available at the construction permit fee?
That's my plan, yes. For all the departments that right now only credit card payments are online, and one kiosk in our building is for tax and water, and recreation is online only.
And the court takes credit card payments through the state system, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Would that cover items that are paid for at the clerk's office?
That's the plan, yes.
Licenses, fees.
Every department that takes payments for any purpose.
Fantastic.
Thought you would like that.
Yeah.
More time.
I was talking about that 10 years ago. Anyway, no, really, thank you. That's great.
The building paging upgrade for the police and the youth center. So the police have had, since that building was built, a paging system for ease of finding, I guess, officers over the intercom system. An intercom system, which is very antiquated and will not integrate with our new phone system. The youth center, with one emergency that I was made aware of when a child needed quick assistance, and they thought a intercom system there would work, would be best to, whatever they need for emergency reasons, and to obviously call on any staff or child. The website redesign. So 5 years ago when we did a redesign, we only changed the look of it, not anything on the back end. And even with whether I stay with the company that we're with or we switch companies, it is time to redesign and get with more modern user experience, easier navigation, AI enhanced tools like a chatbot to automate content guidance. Also, there's quite a few things that came due. One is ADA compliance in April, and we just March 1st, I think it was, for the, help me out, Bob,
Is the ADA compliance?
No, the ADA compliance is in April, which we're working on. But the
you mean what just happened in March with all legal notices and
the legal notices? Yes. So it's to redo the website, but also integrating the paperless agenda minutes software. It's all with one company right now, and they do integrate with each other. And I want that was the wish with the clerk and IT to do the same.
So, Krista, could you just talk a little bit, because I think sometimes not everyone understands what the requirements are of not only the state but also the federal government as it relates to ADA compliance with government websites.
So with ADA compliance, there's for blind or I guess any disability, for that matter, there's these tools could make the wording larger. The back end will tell, the software will tell us, this is not easy to read. It's not, if you highlighted something or if you bolded something, it doesn't, make sense. It also does go through things that are spelled wrong, that are broken links. There's PDFs have to be readable. The back end metadata of an image needs to be able to if somebody was blind going through the website that has a reader would read what it is, the description that we have to set. That's all stuff that we do within the CMS system, and we have the content management system, and that's something that the software, the new website would let us know if we're doing, if we're doing it right or not, if we need to correct it.
So our current website doesn't have the ability to identify those pages that have flaws in them that are not ADA compatible, correct?
Correct.
And how many pages does our current website have?
We're over 4,000 pages.
So another reason why we need to look to upgrade our website.
Yeah. And that cost is a migration. It's about a 9-month process.
Okay. Thank you.
The next one, Office 365 is a tool it's an AI add-on for our Office 365 suite that we already have. It's called Copilot. I've been trialing with one license and found to be very useful, and it's a real-time assistant it would help the employees perform, like unfamiliar tasks. It kind of searches everything within your network and your internet, anything that we have a link to for internal. It could be used to cross-train staff. It could help with when there's a lot of sometimes there's when there's turnover, and just staff can look up stuff and it could find the answers. It also does anything that a AI tool will do, which is help with writing stuff and accelerate. It could also accelerate with onboarding and training. Firewall replacement. So we're at the end of life with our 2 firewalls. We have one at the police station and one here at the municipal building. So obviously for security and compliance, to stay with that, we have a need to replace them. The web-based scheduling software was a recreational staff, seasonal staff request to, I guess for summer seasonal staff, they're using paper and pen right now. And they will use it also year round for the therapeutic program. Townwide inventory and asset management system. The township, whether it's finance, public works, IT, we all have assets, and we keep track differently in all of our departments. I'm also looking for a tool to check in and out, like consumables, toners, etc., loaners, laptops, equipment at public works. That it would be a centralized inventory where all the departments can use.
And then you want to touch on the water capital.
So as Carl mentioned with the SCADA upgrade, that the line that he had was for all of his end upgrades. This SCADA portion, I skipped video surveillance, sorry. Well, the video surveillance is for all of the pump stations to add more cameras. And the SCADA server rebuild, the firewall and the Rockwell software upgrade is all for the SCADA, to go with that SCADA upgrade. And this is the server side of things, the IT side of it.
And just so you know, the video surveillance upgrades to our water system are all NJDEP required security system features that on pump stations and water tanks, that those systems are in need of upgrade. That's the cost there for video surveillance. And there is no open space capital request in IT for this year. So any questions on capital for IT? I can scroll back up to the top. No questions? Mayor?
Okay.
Complete.
Thank you. Who wants to go over Shade Tree again?
I'll be more than happy to add my 2 cents to it.
So there's no council discussion item unless council has something.
No, I'm sorry, Mayor, just wondering, I guess it was under open space, but a question about improvement to a tennis court that I think may be fallen into similar issues that may raise insurance concerns, liability concerns. I could just send you an email, Bob, but I guess any improvements to anything like that was under the open space budget?
It is. I mean, okay. I don't know what in particular you're talking about.
Well, they've just gotten a little more severe. I don't claim to be an expert, but I think it may be creating a safety issue. Castleton Park, I think we redid it about 6-7 years ago. The court has some severe cracking. I've seen it myself because I use it occasionally, and a couple other people I know used it, mentioned it. I'm just concerned. I don't want to run to like we did.
There is money in the general open space budget for general repairs such as that, Councilman. So all you gotta do is just let me know, and I can.
Okay, you can take a look. I just don't want to run into like we did it in Inman, and that.
It does need to be a capital. There is actually money's budgeted for annual repairs to existing facilities.
Okay, so you'll let us know if you think.
Yep, sure.
Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Kudos to anyone who's still awake. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Moved in second, and all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Motion is carried. We are adjourned.